It's the matter when I think everyone, each and every person actually starts using data correctly in the ecosystem, which I mean is in a company. Until unless that doesn't happen, we'll not be able to get the right potent patterns and insights which we could help us to create narratives. So there's still time for that, and I think we're waiting for that time to come. But I think with the advent of AI and all of that has been spoken, I think it's heading towards that. Okay, so I already have about 18 years of experience, overall work experience, and out of which I think 14 years have been in communications. So you can imagine that I have actually seen that entire transformation of communication from very manual way of working to now depending on technology. But I think the most interesting part, at least for my personal journey, has been that evidence and data, in some form or the other, always played a role in my work. So, yeah, I think after 15 years of spending, time in terms of agencies as well as starting my own business for the last 11 years, I think I have literally understood how the length and breadth of data has worked. Ideosphere, of course, has been at a foundational level very since day one been insights-based communication. But with the nature of the industry and the customers' demand, now I think we are very, we would be in a safe space to say that we are actually helping them, solve their business challenges through communication solutions. And I think that's the wonderful part of it. When I started PR, I used to do or utilize, a lot of the insights and data which used to be back in the day. I used to manage Monsanto. I don't know if you guys know the brand, but I literally used to go to the farmers, speak to them, understand their challenges, and then create story angles. But in Ideosphere, what we did is that we started a outside-in approach, which is basically first understand the pain of the target persona and then go about creating a narrative. So that was been, I think, since 2011 have been approach, but acceptance of the customers evolved over time. Today, we are in a position that we are actually being able to create a message logic wherein we are able to articulate, a logic for our customers for a certain or a specific intention. And I think that's what has changed. It's no more about let's create brand awareness. It's about very specific requirement in terms of saying that, okay, I have a talent acquisition problem. How do I communicate to my current senior prospective as well as middle level employees? The articulation has become so much more prominent and so much more important for us now. So I think that's what Ideosphere is currently doing. We've never been media as an outcome. It's always been medium agnostic. It is dependent upon what customer, who he is talking to, what does he want to talk to, and that medium which has been consumed by the consumer, that is where we would communicate. So initially, of course, we had a very large team with operational abilities of each medium, but then very soon we realized that there's so many mediums now, and that expertise cannot be in one ecosystem. So what we started doing is we created a partner ecosystem, and now we our strategy team is our main core team, and our project managers are the main core team, and the rest is dependent on experts who are some wonderful partners which we have had so far. It was a little quite exciting for me because I was very young then. But I was working on Western Union at that point in time, and Hawala was something which was spoken about, and Western Union was trying to make it a lot more standardized and privatized, and money transfers were seen in a different realm at that point in time. I remember meeting a person who used to do this, a very different persona of what you will not imagine. Of course, not professional, not in a suited booted, but sitting in a home with, chunks of money kept around. And I think that's when I realized the beauty of interacting with, your consumer or with your target persona, and what all you can gain from a knowledge as well as creation or storytelling. He was not averse to marketing. He was very happy actually for that matter, as in I think he felt it was his 2-minute fame. But he really shared the challenges that I would also not want to do something like this, but if there was a platform or was a channel which could ease my job, I would be more than happy to partner. I think that's when I realized the importance of speaking to your consumer. Second is the tone. We very, at times we think a copy paste method, and I've been, exposed to this. I have nothing against maybe when we do it, of that all platforms speak the same language. But it's not so actually, because you may have a specific intention, but platforms also have their own language and own tone. So, of course, the engagement is going to be different, and engagement is expected to be different. So, from that perspective, we understood that the tone also made a big difference from the medium you're communicating. Then, as the third one, is the ROI. Now, ROI has been evolved from subjective terms to, very objective terms currently. Now, customers are demanding to know that, okay, how in numbers you're going to be able to bring value to what you're doing. Still very nascent. I don't think so. We've still managed to get there, but I think tools such as Viziki can eventually help us. It's the matter when I think everyone, each and every person actually starts using data correctly in the ecosystem, which I mean is in a company. Unless that doesn't happen, we'll not be able to get the right potent patterns and insights which we could help us to create narratives. So there's still time for that, and I think we're waiting for that time to come. But I think with the advent of AI and all of that has been spoken, I think it's heading towards that. I've been very fortunate to have worked in various campaigns, and every campaign is unique to itself. But one space I really enjoy is when a entity can identify its identity. When it can actually, when communication can hit the nail and say, what, this is what I stand for, this is what I want to talk about, this is where I want to go, and the audience resonates with it. I think that gives the most amount of joy to any communicator, because I think that's a tick mark to say, okay, you've done your job well. Otherwise, there's no way to pat your back, right? So I think I had worked on Metro AIG is a German brand, and they have been in various businesses. But we had to actually articulate the positioning of one of their sub brands which they were coming up with or recoining it. I think once we spoke to the employees of that division, which was becoming independent of the umbrella brand, and we spoke to the leadership, and we spoke to their customers, and we spoke to their suppliers, being able to just get their positioning right, and everybody getting that aha moment, saying that yes, that's what we stand for, and then being able to see it translate on their various mediums of marketing as well as their culture. I think that was my most favorite campaign, because I think I realized the importance of communication, not only from a PR perspective, which is of course, or social media, but also from your, positioning aspect. And I think that was the most wonderful campaign for me. As processes have not remained the same, it's not the same anymore for any agency. It's unique to the customer. Similarly, metrics are also unique to every customer. It could be that I can have that people, my community is speaking about my brand. That's also a metric. Okay, then that I get that many impressions or views on my content. So that is also a matrix. Now it's independent of each brand's intentions, right? Today, if I have to see that, another example, there was one particular client who came, say, listen, I'm right now 8 people. I want to be seen as a 2,000 member company, but I'm unable to hire people because I don't look, feel, or speak, a 2,000 people company. So when we did that entire repositioning and got to really work on it, we got almost, I think, 30% or 30 to 50% growth, in terms of their acquisition. And they understood the, persona of the brand. I think now that's also a matrix. So it's tangible and intangible. It's unique to your intentions. Now, what you're doing communication for needs to be very clear. That's the change which has happened, which helps us to kind of then define what my matrix would be. So, as I said, it's different for different customers. I don't think so. India certainly, or anywhere, and because I'm part of a global alliance, I can vouch for it and say it, that nowhere in the world I think they've cracked the code. So it's still work in progress. So very interesting question, but very difficult to respond to, because I have myself been part of 4 pivots in the industry, which means that our industry is changing on a tenure of about 3 to 4 years, right? So when you are, and that's going to further shorten. So nothing is set in stone now, right? The only advantage you have as communicators is that you will still need a human and a human side of you. Okay, so now when you're working with omni channels, you still need articulation to be done to a certain customer or a type of a person. Now that will continue to, be a service provision. The only difference is the media is not going to be only the thing. Social media is not going to be only one thing. Now it's going to have many more tools added to it. So that's the change and the shift I see. So the flexibility of communicators to adapt to more than set of 2 or 3 tools is going to become set of 10, and that's where the change is going to happen. The second part is that I think in the future, is what our reading of the situation is that businesses will start depending on communicators for many other areas as well. Largely, there's a set of 5 to 6 areas where customers come to you. Either help me create a brand reputation, and the most abused word is thought leadership, and those terminologies will be broken. It's going to become specific to my business requirement, because industries are going to have a cluster of the same type of products. Now, how do you create your differentiation? You're not going to be able to create differentiation on these intentions, right? So hence, that is going to really change the way how articulation or content is created, or how uniquely or innovatively you're thinking of communicating that element to your customer. So I think that's where the whole I think it's exciting, because it allows us also to not be dependent on the 2 or 3 elements of what we were. The lines are blurring of marketing and com. It's not going to be marketing and com. It's going to be something else which we don't know right now. But I think that's where I see it going. So technically, I'm not very sound on that, to be honest. Uh, I have my own aversion to these topics, but the bare minimum I have exposed myself. Actually, the thing is that I am almost scared that, what are they really going to do? You know, uh, and I've realized that they are going to actually either they could help or they could actually be a harm. Now, I have two sides of the opinions. I don't know if this is the best platform to speak about that, but I'm curious to know what they can do. Like I know there's a whole lot of conversation around, Chat GPT, and great. I think if I can save time, I we work with certain tech clients who need 1,000 blogs, and to in order to do content creation and Google keyword search, and I don't think so it's human enough to create that many in that much time and with that level of quality. Okay, and plus that they need a alignment and connecting the dots in terms of each. Now for 1,000 blogs I may not be able to do that. So from that purpose I think it's very good that I have tools like these, because where I give the intention and they write it, and then I just can edit and kind of fasten the process. But at the same time, I do feel the challenge is going to be the quality of what you're providing. um, are people going to really enjoy you know reading that for thousands of same type of segments or sectors? So that's where the uniqueness of communicators is going to lie, as to how you actually step out of the everybody doing the same thing and kind of say, maybe this is not a good fitment for you. Maybe we may want to go to a route which is not A to B, but A to D. So yeah, I think that's where the approach or the strategic advice is going to make a big difference. I just really hope the metric is more mindset. I just want the customers to unlearn that that ROI means only revenue. Okay, ROI could mean many things, and I think it's a cohesive mindset change which needs to happen. I'm not saying we are any better, but I think cohesively we'll have to start. See, and it's very complex. I don't blame anyone, because earlier I used to only do newspapers. Today I'm doing newspapers plus online, plus social media, plus their internal engagement, plus, so you just see how the diagram and the graphs have changed. So I think it's not medium based, but it is more what you say, have I been successful in reaching the outcome which you're looking for, irrespective of however I came to it. So I think that's where I would really want. And the second part is, I think language. I think change in language will be a big help. And when I say language, I'm not saying how we speak, but I think it's just the industry language. And I think that will help us also to be seen differently, also to be heard differently. And I think certain industry platforms are doing a fab job at it. It's very important that see, how does it impact your customer or the customer's customer is very important to understand. Today, if the morale is extremely low, and in some ways if I can actually keep that motivated and for the right reasons with the right language, I rather do that. I think communicators have this very amazing sense of empathy. They understand what needs to be heard and said, and I think we just come with that art and skill. So if we can do that, I think it's good to have. But if we also not doing away with the facts, the fact of the matter remains that if you're in an economic uncertainty, I think it's the right thing for even the audience to know that what is the real condition, because we all want to, and we've gone through this 2 years of COVID. I don't think so. We are in a mental state of going to that position again. So it's absolutely fair for the audience and whoever we are speaking to know the real impact and how we can solution that. So that's where I think communicators are going to be helpful. I think we know how to solution, we know how to bring the best in the worst times. So I think that's where we're going to be helpful, in my view. I have been saying this for the last 11 years. If I have not got bored of this industry for the last 15 years, which means that you can continue to stay curious and you can continue to learn. The only thing is that I feel the patience to kind of, really go into the depth of what the sector and the business is, that's become much lesser. I think that interest of knowing somebody's business and getting deep rooted into what it may do if we say this to that, consumer, I think that is missing in the current generation. Maybe I am a little older, but I'm just saying that I think that can add great amount of value. Business understanding will take the newer generation extremely well and far ahead.